Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Under the Radar, our first for realsy episode of our second season. I am Hater, and I'm here with Ginger and Ironroids.
What's up?
So, we're kind of hoping my internet doesn't, derp out while we're recording this and totally screw things up. But for now, while it's doing this, we're recording. We're gonna try to bring you a full episode, just like the old days, just how we used to do it. And honestly, I think we have a lot of shit to talk about, so we might not actually get through all of it to the extent we want. Good first episode, I'd say.
Hell yeah, we're getting it done, partially. One thing I want to mention before we continue is that this episode will not be on iTunes immediately. iTunes is still sort of getting set up. We are resetting it up after we were having to remake the website. And so while this will initially appear on YouTube, it and all of the previous Under the Radar episodes will be on iTunes and the website before next week's episode. It's just a matter of uploading them now. We're set to go. But at the moment, at the time you are listening to this, you'll have to be listening to it on YouTube. It won't be on iTunes quite yet, but expect it later in the week. That's my plug. Anyway.
Indeed.
We're just happy you're listening.
We love you.
Wow, jinx.
well, I love more.
Gay!
Wait, Roids, you should be mad about that. He's stealing your thunder. It used to be Roids and Hater, man.
Oh my god.
No love for roids.
Don't worry, I still love you.
Alright. Well, before Hater's internet dies.
Oh god, I hope it doesn't start now. I'm hearing a little robot voice. Anyway, let's see here. I kind of had a bunch of little things I was going to talk about, but I'll try to do this the best way to segue into Ginger's topic after mine. So, kind of want to talk a little bit about Hossin and flying on Hossin especially. And what have your guys' experiences been with that so far? Since you've had more time to play on Hossin than I have.
It's pretty awesome.
I love it for the facts that you can just hide from AA, and if you want to run away and disengage, it's actually fairly easy. Just because of the trees and the fog.
I love that they really were honest about the fact that you can fly underneath the trees pretty consistently. Like, that is actually there, and it's a mechanic, and it's really cool. And yeah, it's really easy to disengage from ground targets, and the trees act as sort of a bubble against flak and lock-ons, which is just a little mini shield, which is great.
Yeah, I've only flown on it a little bit, and I've enjoyed it immensely thus far. I've actually had not even really dogfights, but just sort of dogfights, where it was just mostly a chasing fight, like we didn't go into hover mode and duel or anything, but I just chased a guy under the trees. But it was real fun because there's a lot more weaving and just real close calls with the terrain and all the freaking trees. And
Yeah.
there was one point where 3 Reavers were chasing me, and I didn't have to fire a single shot. I just weaved through the trees and made them all crash. Or that,
Oh my god.
That's something you could kind of do on Indar maybe if you were good and lucky, but I mean Hossin just it's there for you to do that more often and more easily.
It gives me Star
I like
Wars
that.
nostalgia. I think I'm like
Yeah.
a racer just flying through the forest. And I love it for that fact. It's so easy to just disappear into the woods if you want to and then pop out and join a fight.
So yeah, I've personally loved that the most. But that was only like one day of flying. Like I played for an hour and a half just flying like that, and that was good fun. And then my internet pooped.
Oh.
I still haven't memorized the friggin' map layout at all. It's just trees
I
and
don't know
plateaus
anything
everywhere.
about it.
It's a map that I still have to use warp gate waypoints on.
Same
Okay.
here. But I think that's partially because of the new alert system, because it just locks out the continent. You can't play it constantly the entire day, like you could on Indar or Amrish back in the day.
Yeah, that too.
Back in my day, the Dalton could one-shot ESFs.
It still can. Just can't do anything else.
But it required skill.
Also, I want to talk about really quick. Thank you for PlanetSide for making Better Nerf the Liberator a Better Nerf Aurelia meme. That's so perfect. Anyway,
Wait,
I just
what
thought
is
I'd
this?
mention that.
What is this?
Okay, League of Legends, there was a champion in that game that was nerfed so consistently over a series of patches that people would start making like these blatantly wrong claims like, oh, I just died to Baron at 2 minutes into the game, better nerf Aurelia. Like, just things that had clearly nothing to do with Aurelia or anything to do at all with her being strong or just anything to do with her whatsoever. And just people are doing that with better nerf the Liberator. Which is very, very true.
Nerf all the libs. I think that's something to talk about another day. But actually, libs are in a decently good place, at least in my mind right now. Could be wrong.
You know what I say? If we talk about libs to any extent, we get Wycliffe Slim on here first.
Alright. Anyways, Hater, you got any more?
A few more things. First thing I did when I got back to full playing capacity on my new laptop, pulled Hornets, went after Argatar. I died the first time, then I pulled Hornets again, and I went after Argatar and I killed him with them.
Oh my god.
And yes, he and Prey guys jumped me the first time, then I jumped him with other mosquitoes and killed him. So yes, that's just how the air game goes. And then I made a video of it, 13 seconds long, and I pissed off all of Cry, apparently. And just trolled the fuck out of him with it.
God.
And that was funny, yes, but my point is going back to Hornets, and that even after the time I've been gone, I came back and I used them pretty well in air-to-air combat. Like I shot down about 5 more ESFs that PlayStation with Hornets. That's something I don't think I did even before when I was, good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I that was an agreement in that Hornets are really hard to use, not that you're bad, even though you're bad, but
I'm so bad.
So bad.
He's the worst of the
Yeah,
best, man.
I'm hoping people are
best.
using Hornets more and like them because I don't know. I feel they're the most rewarding ESF weapon.
I've been seeing a lot of people in Connery using them lately. Not necessarily to kill other air, but there's been actually starting to notice different factions starting to use like dedicated pairings, instantly take out a Skyguard or whatever tank they so choose. It's actually pretty cool to watch it happen because you just see these 4 missiles kind of jet out, and you're just like, oh, where are those going? And then you just see an explosion in the distance. You're like, and you just like thumbs up in the air, and like, I'm gonna shoot you down later. But that was pretty cool.
What I tell you, man, coordinated Hornets can rape shit.
They're pretty awesome.
If you can get 4 Hornets in a bud, that's it for anything, isn't it?
Except Sunder.
Oh, right.
Since the new Sunday shield thing, that makes it super duper hard to kill, which I don't mind. Keeps fights going.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one point where I was leading a platoon, and I think we dropped like 8 bricks of C4 on it, and because of the way the shield works, it mitigates damage, because you have to pop the shield before you can actually damage the Sunder, so we popped the shield, and then none of us had resources to kill the Sunder.
Oh my god.
We're just sitting around this thing, we're just like, shit, what do we do? Like, it's
if only you could call in an airstrike with Hornets.
So we future crewed it up, and we farmed it.
Oh, nice.
We felt terrible. We apologized after, but we did it. Did it.
Should just put down a spawn bacon and gotten more resources.
That's too hard.
Yeah.
And they couldn't kill us, so. Ha!
Nice. I don't know. I've been running Hornets lately because I've been trying to do something other than ESF hunting. And I haven't been doing that well with it. Like, going air to ground is so fucking hard in anything but 1 to 12 fights. I keep dying.
Disagree.
And it's frustrating.
I disagree, but that's because I use the Banshee like none other, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Not to brag, but I love that fucking thing.
Side note, Banshee needs a nerf.
Fuck no.
It's not even like It's just a superior anti-infantry farming weapon in all
It is, and
regards.
that's a point I was gonna hit on. Was people are just bitching about the Banshee all of a sudden, and I'm like, I'm sorry, good weapon design is all of a sudden bad.
I'm
Like
sorry.
I've always said that like the Banshee is the perfect like design for
Mhm.
efficiency of anti-infantry, and like I can't see them nerfing it in a way that won't actually really make it really bad, because it's in a pretty good place. Maybe
Yeah.
slightly OP, yes, but it's
Mhm.
efficiently good.
Well, I was thinking about that, and we're always concerned about bringing something down to a level that's acceptable. But why don't we bring things up? Like, why don't we start making more unique OP things? Balance it more like Dota and less like COD, if that
Yeah.
makes sense,
Hmm.
and just
I
keep
prefer
the
that.
game more interesting.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
would say that not so much the Banshee needs a nerf because it's so segmented and can't do anything else, but more that the Air Hammer and PPA, at least against infantry, need kind of a buff to be more on the
Just,
Banshee's level.
I don't know. I think they just need more weapons akin to the Banshee versus where the TR needs more weapons akin to like the Air Hammer and the light PPA. Because light PPA damage over time, it's clearly superior, but it's getting in a position where no one has flak or lock-ons, which is very rare. Which is where Banshee excels at, because you can just go in, empty your whole clip in like
The
5
Banshee
seconds.
kills quick.
Well,
That's-
yeah, and
that's
its
why it's
splash
good.
damage is like original. What am I thinking of? Shredder, pre-nerf Shredder, like splash
Yeah.
damage. So it's like 5 bullets, and even
Yeah,
if
that's
you
what
like
you want
completely
with that
miss.
kind of weapon.
OP, please nerf Infantry Master Race.
I just want to play COD. I don't want this combined arms video game, guys.
Well, that has a lot to do with my topic.
I
unless
know.
you had more to go.
It's a perfect segue, I think.
All right.
I was pretty much gonna segue into that, so yeah, go.
Okay. So, I try to avoid making topics on this involve our personal videos, but in this case, I had to make an exception because this video needs to be talked about, and I'll make it relevant to air as well, more relevant to the big picture. But essentially, I posted a video last night called I think it was called 4 Easy Ways to Be a Less Bad Peasant. And for those of you who haven't seen it, go see it. This will make a hell of a lot more sense, and it's kind of funny. In this video, it was a satire video, which a lot of people didn't realize, which tells me I did a pretty good job, in which I essentially colored most infantry players as these sort of whiny babies who have access to all of these tools that will completely shut down all of the air game above them, but constantly whine on Reddit that ESFs are overpowered because they don't feel like using them. And it was incredibly patronizing, and I played the Blue Badger theme from Phoenix Wright on a xylophone. It is a 20-second loop, and I played that for the entire 3-minute video. And it was meant to be as trolling and patronizing as possible, and essentially I had the idea of this video, and then I thought, wow, that would really, really piss everyone off in Reddit side. It would be a troll, like not even a misuse of the word. It would
Perfect.
actually be trying to get a rise out of Reddit side, and it worked so well. Oh, I'm so happy about that video. Anyway, tons of people didn't get the fact that it was satire. The top Reddit comments managed to be smart. A couple of people figured out that the only way to stay on their high horse while also insulting the video is to insult the satire and say that I was just salty, which I was not. I can guarantee that
You
there
salty,
was no,
bruh.
There was no Reddit thread that just pissed me off so much that I just was so passionate about the subject that I had to make a video, or I didn't get like killed by flak or something. I just thought it would be hilarious.
Are you positive? Because I mean, when I posted the video about Hornets, I mean, Cry got super salty. So if it made you super salty, I understand.
I did a test and there was not a high amount of sodium found. Anyway,
I think Cry wakes up in the morning and just shoves.
Takes a salt pill.
Yeah, basically. They must have like clogged sinuses or something. They just need to keep salt in that the entire time.
They eat their Frosted Flakes with salt water instead of milk.
Yeah, they should all just move to the sea and just breathe that salt water. It just might solve some things financially.
Oh my god. Anyway,
Hey, they'll never have to get worried about getting shot down over the ocean then. Okay,
Soft landing,
right, let's
bailing
go.
all the time.
Okay, anyway, you know it was a good troll because you saw some really stupid shit in the Reddit comments. There was this one comment, like, for instance, this guy, he made a post essentially about how much he hated ace pilots like me, or rather, ace pilots like the person I was portraying in the video because he was too dumb to realize that it was satire. And how, when he played Battlefield, he would get on and get into servers that people had made and said, hey, this is an only air server. And then he would get into flak turrets and shoot people down because he hated the aces and how elitist they are. And this crap got upvotes, and people were like, keep on fighting the good fight, was one of the comments. And I was like, come on, Reddit side, like, you're not that stupid, right? Anyway, sorry, there's a dog barking in the background. I'm sure that can be heard through the mic. I deeply apologize for bad quality. In any case,
dude, he's telling him to fight the good fight. It's like,
yeah.
He hates birds too.
In any case, it was really funny. Most comments I've ever gotten for anything I've done, and upvoted to the front page by pilots who actually understood the satire at a 65% ratio. The struggle was real. Anyway, if you actually scrolled down through the comments, there was some really good discussion, actually, about sort of what the video was addressing. And, you know, obviously I don't completely agree with everything that I said in the video, but there were some parts that, I mean, were true. Like, it is very easy for an infantry person to walk over to an AA turret and shut air out of the area. And the comment that I saw, and this was, you know, a couple of people said this, but one guy put it really well. Let me grab the comment. So it was Checkred from VIPR on Cobalt, who just put it really well. He said, I am an infantry elitist. The steps in this video are moot compared to the actual problem. Dealing with air takes me away from the game I want to play, and the game the pilot wants to play too. To deal with air, you have to not be doing anything else. This is boring for everyone involved. Then he goes through all the steps I listed in the video. Step 1, or technique 1, sit in a flak turret. Now the ESF has flown away. Now I have the option of waiting 30 seconds for him to come back so I can scare him away again, or join the ground fight and get pummeled by him again. Technique 2, flak max. This is just as much fun. Now I've scared the air away, and I can change to my blue shifts. I don't want to be a max though, but this is my life now. Technique 3, lock-ons. Well, damn, I lost line of sight, or the pilot dipped 20 degrees towards the ground. Never mind. Technique 4, now I'm in ESF. Now I'm running away from all this flak, and I'm not on the ground enjoying the fight the way I wanted to in the first place. And, I mean, you can say he should expect to have to deal with air. This isn't COD, but, I mean, he's right. All of the ways that ground players have to deal with air are kind of boring as shit and take you out of the game that you wanted to be playing in the first place. And so the issue with farming a small battle, if you're an ace or if you're someone who's good at farming small battles, isn't that it's overpowered, because, I mean, anyone can walk into a flak turret or pull a dual arm burster max using an item trial and completely counter you and all of your friends, as long as they're sort of smart about it. It's not overpowered, but it's douchey, because that person then has to sit at their computer and say, well, I was really enjoying this fight, but in order for my team to not get farmed, I now have to spend the next, until this fight is over, sitting in a flak turret, shooting at some guy, making no certs other than the surface and air damage. I might as well log off, because I will make a roughly equivalent score per hour just logging out of the game, and I'll have about as much fun too. Which is the actual problem. I think that comment honestly should have been the top comment, and it should have summed it up, that there's no reward for doing it because you only get rewarded for getting the kill, which you're rarely going to do, and there's no fun in it because all of the tools that infantry players have aren't fun to use. It's either point and click or aim and lead and click, and that won't kill them. You'll have to sit there after you're done. So that was what I got out of that. The video generated good discussion, which was great, and that's sort of the problem that I think is really the case here. Not that air is OP in small fights, but that anti-air kind of sucks to use in small fights, or potentially even in big fights. That's where I want to ask. What do you guys think about? If you agree with me, what are some potential solutions, and if you disagree with me, why?
Okay, I can play kind of a devil's advocate here.
Okay.
It's only slightly unrelated, but I'll try to explain myself the best I can. All right, devil's advocate. So, for the most part, I'd say, at least in those small fights, I'd say when you get to like 20 people, if you go over 20 people on each side in a fight, then it's kind of pushing the moderately sized fights where things start to balance out a little bit more. But say below 20 people in a fight on each side is a small fight. And yes, ESFs excel there because there's just less people, less to deal with overall. And I feel like all my experience as a pilot has made me a better infantry player too because of that. Because I go to quite a few, just because I have to play during off-peak hours now, because that's when I get my best internet and that's when I have time. So I go to some fairly small fights because it's not peak hours, and when I'm in those small fights, I'm never having trouble with ESFs farming me. Maybe they're around, but I never have any personal trouble with them, and it's because regardless of what class I'm playing, I know how to freaking avoid them or combat them. And combat them quickly so I don't have to deal with them for a long time and actually get back to the infantry fight. And I feel like most people just probably don't pay attention to the really easy signs or ways to actually deter aircraft to make those small fights easier for them and harder for aircraft. And as a pilot who I admit, I went with hoodies and Hornets and shit to get the Araxi medal on those. I went to small fights because those are easier to farm at. And if more people would just, I guess, know the little things or pay just a little bit more attention, they would so much more easily be able to deter just one aircraft. So there you go, devil's advocate.
I agree kind of on both sides of the fence. I think the biggest issue is just better base design. Along with this is a combined arms game. It's supposed to be, so you got to have some awareness because you have some very powerful tools as an infantry player, and sometimes you just gotta do it. And often you'll deter air for up to 20 minutes from ever entering an area ever again, just because you've been a dick for about 2. And so, honestly, if infantry is really worth that much of your time and air ruins it that much, then spend 2 minutes every 20 minutes deterring air somewhere and you'll have the time of your life. But along with that SOE, for future continents and continent revamps and the resource system that they gotta finish implementing, need to do a better job of giving infantry certain play areas, as well as including other areas where if you want to push out, you'll be exposed and aircraft can have their fun as well.
I'm surprised I took the less fuck you route than you guys on a peasant issue. I can't believe this.
I don't know. I platoon lead so much, so I guess it's easy for me to say that, like, okay guys, put your decimators away for now. We're all grabbing either lancers or, like Nemesi, so at least you have a dumbfire option, and then all of a sudden every aircraft is fucked for the next 7 minutes.
That makes sense.
But yeah, it's just...
User in your channel timed out.
Oh, that came through the recording too. Shit. Alright. Well, haters internet again, but me and Royds are still here and we're through haters shit anyway. Yeah. Hopefully this will not be a lasting trend because we are changing the schedule of when we're recording very slightly. We're looking for solutions to haters internet, so we'll keep you up to date.
He should be back momentarily.
Hopefully.
Should be.
Isn't too bad. Although it could be an issue for the rest of the podcast, so yay. In any case, yeah, I mean, my opinion on it is that the guy's kind of right. I think, it almost makes me think.
What's it make you think?
Thank you. It makes me think I feel like I could have read something interesting and jumped to a conclusion without really thinking about it, but I feel like maybe this makes me want a sort of a flak rework. I mean, flak doesn't really do it. Or not a flak rework, but a general ground to air rework. Like it's
User in your channel is recording.
It's absurd in differently populated fights anyway. How much the difference is and how much it doesn't work. Why not just replace it with more fun to use guns if none of the infantry people like using them and none of the pilots like dealing with them? Like, why are they there in their current form in the first place if they are the problem?
I think that's the main disconnect between SOE and understanding of the air game, and why we don't really have a meta game except for what we make up by ourselves as pilots. It's either camp the warp gate or I'm going to support infantry in cruel and unusual ways today.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I thought when I read this too. There are, in my opinion, and in ESF in general, there are three general uses of your time. A, you can farm a small fight. B, you can die in a big fight. Or C, you can warp gate camp and hunt down new players in ESFs. And most people do C, because A is really easy and B is death. But the biggest issue is that either you go to a big fight and die, or you're doing something that's douchey. Like, there is no other option in an ESF, it seems like. I mean, yeah, farming in a small fight is not nice. It ruins someone's day because they have to use a shit weapon to counter you, but, I mean, what else are you supposed to do?
Well, that's where it comes in, like, if they gave all facets of the game slightly more overpowered weapons, air could suddenly come in and swoop down and, say, kill a whole armor column in less than 30 seconds. But if there was a flak rework and it did way more damage, all of a sudden they pull one Skyguard and we're all fucked and we all have to leave. But at least we did our job in killing that armor column, versus the state where we have it now, where you piss off the tank driver because you're wasting 3 minutes of his time trying to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden flak gets up. It can't really kill you, so you're wasting his time. You finally kill that tank, but then you can't contribute to the battle anywhere else because there's a Skyguard or a flak max or a lock-on, and so on and so
So it's wasting your time.
Basically, it's wasting everybody's time getting nothing done. But if you had more powerful rocket pods, more powerful Hornets, more powerful flak lock-ons in turn, all of a sudden you have way new dynamic about hit quick strikes where nobody's wasting each other's time. You're going in, you're wiping up, you're cleaning something up, and then all of a sudden the area is too hostile for you to engage because you get insta-gibbed. You just leave.
Okay. I don't know about insta-gibbed, because there's a lot of situations where a flak source that you would have no way of having been aware of can just pop up underneath you. Someone pulls a burster, gets in a turret.
I guess I should reiterate that. I still think Skyguards should be maybe slightly more powerful. Burster maxes are a different story because they're very hard to pinpoint, and that's frustrating because of infantry render issues.
Mm-hmm. I'd say I'd fairly agree with that. But no, I think this talk has covered a lot of actual problems. So, GG. Thank you everyone who saw the video again, and thank you especially people who understood that it was satire and people who upvoted to fuel the flames. That I could not have asked for a better response to that video. It was fucking hilarious, and yeah. So anyway, that's all I got. One thing I wanted to mention before I hand off the topic page is emails. Obviously, I plug emails on every podcast. We got one email this week. It was from Radar X. Here is the email. In the subject line, it said, "Great podcast." In the message line, it said, "Keep up the good work." As much as I would have loved to have made that email a topic, no. If anyone would like to send us an email that we can, make into a discussion topic, that would also be great. But little things like that are also appreciated, of course. But generally, if you're new to Under the Radar, I didn't go over it entirely last time. The way it works is these topics we have, one each of us brings one topic to the table, and we'll all talk about it for about 15 minutes. And my topic, for instance, was, my video. If you send us an email, we will make that email one of our topics if we like it, if it is the most well-liked email of the ones we get that week. So definitely email us. And it's not that hard of a competition. There's a lot of times where we will talk about, any old thing or, something, and we'll talk about multiple emails. It just sort of depends, but just email us something with your thoughts. And even if we don't use it in the podcast, I will always send you a reply trying to give the best sort of breakdown and podcast level response to your question as I can, even if it's not played publicly. So that's my plug. It's utrpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you. Roids.
Woo! So this Saturday there was ServerSmash. See who was the king of North America. But seriously, Emerald ended up beating Connery. Was it 61-37 in the end?
By a lot. I don't remember the exact number.
Well, there was a new point system because they assigned 1 point to every base versus owning strategic bases were worth more points than other bases.
Oh, cool.
Probably would have. Hater, can you talk?
I can, yes.
Oh my goodness, it's working. It's fantastic. So anyways, we're going to focus on the air aspect of this. The infantry part has been covered in retrospect by Kid Riot on Twitch, if you want to look at that, or you can just watch the stream yourself. There was mistakes on both sides, but I think the more punishing ones happened on the Connery sides, especially towards the end of the match. But we'll just focus on the air aspect right now. So, starting out, at least from the Connery's perspective, I had the pleasure of commanding. We had 4 dedicated air squads, 2 that were air to ground, and we had 2 flex squads that were either up in the air or on the ground periodically. And so, having that numerical advantage over Emerald, at least for the first hour 15, we had firm air control on our side of the map, and we managed to gain control of the Ascent, Lithcourt, and Raven's Landing, though it costed us about 40 minutes of the match to do that. However, we felt those were the most important bases at the time, and I still think they are for that particular continent. Then we managed to exercise least strategic strikes going north-south, because you can cross the Ascent with such ease and go up and down. And then interesting things started happening with your infantry platoons. We noticed that you were dedicating, maybe not necessarily by your guys' request, but by just the sheer amount of vehicles Emerald was willing to pull versus what we were. You guys had Skyguard trains camped up the Lithcorp Road. You had lock-on users absolutely everywhere, and then your infantry platoons were actually sending periodically waves of air that would be equipped with like light PPAs and lock-ons. So anytime they'd see an air fight, they'd just kind of join it and kill something or ram one of us. And then by the hour and a half point, we ran out of resources because we couldn't deal with, the 80+ air that Emerald just kind of kept sending wave after wave. Has managed to manage your resources better than us.
That right there won the air game for them, hands down. I mean, once R3K realized what they were doing, just go on. I'll give my sort of. I was from before we continue. Mm-hmm. I was for those of you guys who are listening, in the single squad that was supposed to be doing air-to-air combat the entire ServerSmash. So that's my sort of perspective. Anyway, Roids, if you had more.
I have a little bit more. And then I found out your guys' air platoons. Stop me if I'm wrong here, Hater. Crunk designed it to be self-contained units. And so basically you guys divided into zones along the front and started playing contain. And because your infantry was sending in air, you were all of a sudden back on the offensive by the hour 15 point, and you guys were taking advantage of certain aspects because we felt we had total domination at certain points, and all of a sudden picking certain squads off. And then we ran into confusion there because of that, because you had high altitude air and a ton of low altitude air because of the ground that was willing to pull air. and
Yeah.
we were fighting often at low altitude, and then we'd be descended upon by aces, and that's a completely different experience than killing like some guy with just lock-ons.
Classic pincer move.
I will say,
vertical
honestly,
fashion.
not to be an insult to Emerald. You guys won fair and square. I couldn't notice the difference. I think their main air division was also a lock-on nose gun outfit. So the biggest thing, tactics-wise, there wasn't a hell of a lot of. I mean, in that sort of furball format, there isn't a lot of room for skill to shine. But our tactics did not change at all based on what outfit tags we saw. And looking back, I couldn't say what furball specifically was an ace or what wasn't made of aces.
Yeah, I'd have to agree to a certain extent. But yeah, I think you could notice in as far as the organization in the air though. But as far as from the Connery side, I think overall we just got out logisticked
Yeah,
for
definitely.
the most part.
That was really impressive organization.
I felt
on
the
their end.
Emerald leadership overall was pretty good. Like I was impressed by it. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, on a side note, I have a little venting about Tumas Cargo down south. The platoon that was supposed to go down there, the infantry platoon, did not hit their target until 14 minutes in the match, at which point Emerald had pretty much fucked us in the ass down south there. That is because they did not hit their target, which is a safe lane cap, and I don't understand how that did not happen, and if you were part of that platoon, fuck you.
Ooh, shots fired.
But seriously, things to take away. Certainly a lot learned from the Connery standpoint. There's certain logistical things because at least in past server smashes, we've been able to abuse the ability like what we did to you guys in the early game about just asserting total domination over the areas we wanted, and then most other servers gave up, but instead you guys just adapted to more of a contained strategy and just mitigating, which worked out really, really well. I don't know if you have any other comments, Hater.
Not really. I didn't get to. I kind of actually saw quite a bit of what our ground forces were doing, and they did. I remember one. I don't remember which base, but one base where we had a fairly token force just kind of holding you guys from capping the point early on.
I think that was
and they did a really good job doing that, just delaying.
Yeah. Now, as far as the north and the south went, your infantry managed to manhandle, for lack of better terms, on even numbers.
All right, I want to go through my experience really quick.
Go ahead.
This is actually a little known fact, but the 56RD squad, their 6, was actually a man down. And so Pink Void, when the match was starting, said, everyone go through your friends list, get someone right now. And I went through my Steam friends list, and I'm like, Hater. And then I sent Hater a message, and he was like, dude, no, I'm not going against Emerald. And I was like, okay, shit. Then I went down, and I see X's name in my Steam chat, and I'm like, yes! So I send X a message, and I'm like, dude, ServerSmash is starting right now. Come join. We need one other person. It'll be awesome. It's huge fucking furballs. And he's like, okay. So he joins, and he actually flew the ServerSmash, which was awesome. But it was less awesome when things, because I think our outfit in particular, since we were the only one that stayed airborne for the entire duration of the event, really, it was a little bit frustrating. You definitely enjoyed the novelty of the event, but Emerald's superior tactics, or rather superior logistics, basically it was what caused the problem. Basically, the fight started out, and we were definitely acing it up against the first platoon, and we went straight to Amarish, and we knew right away this is going to be Cry, it's going to be lock-ons. Use the top of Amarish as a makeshift lock-on shield to draw them into the tower, but don't actually let them farm, and start the fight from there. And we all were running afterburner tanks so that we could use the Amarish Mountain to outmaneuver missiles, and I ran so many missiles into mountains, it was insane. And it was just superior strategy and tactics on our end at the beginning. What got us, of course, was that they kept pulling outfits, and there was a delay between the first one and the second one, in which we were so far ahead that we said, hey, I think I asked Pink Voids to message Roids, and or a lot of people did, and say, hey, we could be more efficient if we diverted some of these other guys that are supposed to be Swiss Army knives to air to ground, and just have us and some other people take out the air, because even if we're outnumbered, like we're better than these people. And that was
Bullshit.
the idea. It was Cry, dude. Anyway.
Sorry, even if it's Cry, I gotta stick with Emerald.
Anyway, the platoons just kept coming until we were all out of resources. Like, we just needed time to lick our wounds, and we weren't getting it. They just kept. It was just Scythe Zerg to the northwest, Scythe Zerg to the north, Scythe Zerg to the west. So they're pulling from Bastion, they're pulling from Ikanon, they're pulling from Warpgate, and it just got to the point where we didn't figure it out until it was too late. We were the only dedicated air-to-air squad, so we really couldn't adjust our game with just us to the extent that we were able to counter this sort of strategy. There was one point where we were smart enough to actually lead them around, and we tried to do structured attacks on different bases and maneuver around the map, and this was X's idea, who was trying to encourage this because he was a little frustrated with our squad leadership. Pink Void actually, I'm not expressing an opinion here, I'm just stating facts. Pink Void actually rage quit from our squad lead at about an hour and 30 minutes into the game. And at that point, Captain Nips was acting as a makeshift squad lead, and X was trying to sort of advise us, and he is more tactically oriented, and R3K is more of an outfit designed to be guys hanging out, farming certs. And it was a frustrating experience during the last hour of the ServerSmash, but we tried, we gave it our all, and GG Emerald, that logistics system was what won you the air game.
Tip of the hat. But yeah, it was absolutely frustrating to be winning your objective for an hour and 15 and just see your map slowly disappear anyways.
Yeah, I understand. On one side though, I apologize for not buying you guys the proper lube before the battle. I'm sure it made it hurt a lot more.
Dude, I told you I want Astroglide. Like,
yeah, so well, they didn't have any.
Got me fucking aloe vera. Do you know how much that hurts?
You get Amazon
They were
Prime
all
hater.
out. They said
Amazon
some guy named
Prime.
Higby came through and bought it all.
Puts it in his hair, I heard.
Hair gel. Makeshift hair gel.
But yeah, by the hour and a half mark, it was just utterly insane because it was like, oh, there's 24 scythes up north, and all of a sudden there's 48 up at the ascent, and then there's another 24 down south, and we're just like, I was just scratching my head at that point, and I'm just like, core.
I mean, hey, it's a learning experience. Maybe it won't be something we're able to coordinate by Briggs, but this is something we need to do. Like, we need to think of a similar system to this. A static, maybe putting like the two best air-to-air outfits, like R3K and Pink, in consistent ESFs, because you can assume that they will do well enough that they won't have to play infantry and still have a contingency plan if they do need to. But we should do something like that. Like, we need to manage our nanites in a way that we use them all now that they're, it's a new resource system, and Emerald definitely realized that the new resource system is a new way to play. So,
yeah, we probably took it from a more traditional standpoint where you win the air fight, 4 or 5 times, and all of a sudden they can't fly for the rest of the match. But other side notes from the ServerSmash. I don't know. Shout out, it was fun. Like, there were certain moments where it's just like PlanetSide nostalgia, just because of the size of the air balls and how much fun it was just flying around shooting things.
Yeah, that was, even when we were losing, I was still loving the hell out of it.
Yeah. But that said, we have learned. We will be ready for next time, hater. Ugh.
We'll bring the pain, don't you worry.
We'll bring decoy flares, don't worry.
Bring the prey, means less lock-ons. We'll have
and I will bring the lube, I swear.
Good.
All right.
It was a fun time. I think it's story time, though.
It is. Yeah, wow. This has been a doozy. We had a lot to talk about, and we definitely talked about it.
You guys go first.
Royds, did you want to go first or second?
I don't know if I have a story.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'll go. All right, so as longtime viewers know, Lady Panda sent us an email at the end of the season finale episode and drops the bomb that he lives in Seattle, and he's a longtime viewer, and he was in the R3K TeamSpeak and sort of chatting with us, and we were just talking about, stuff, and then one of the members of R3K is a friend of mine, his name's Zargan, starts, like, recognizing the landmarks, and he's like, whoa, you guys live in Seattle? And we're like, yeah, and he's like, I work at the Starbucks that's at this place. And I'm like, holy shit, that's 10 minutes from my house. Like, if Starbucks didn't or if Seattle didn't have a
Lol.
Starbucks on every corner, that would be like the place that I would go. And it like blew me away that he worked that close to me. Like, it's a pretty convenient place to get a coffee. It's in the shopping center that I get my groceries at. And so I went over there. I thought I would surprise him the next day and just sort of hope he was working. And I put on the new conglomerate T-shirt that I'm sure you all know about, that I use to try to
Pick
get
up
into
chicks.
contact with Sanda. Huh?
Pick up chicks.
Pick up chicks. Yeah, it's my that T-shirt is my
All you
pussy
hear,
flotation device. Make sure I don't drown in pussy.
I could just hear you walking around. I think I broke it.
Okay. No. Anyway, so I went in and I was wearing the shirt, and I walked into the Starbucks and I looked behind the counter, and there's it's girls and the only guy working behind the counter. He has a name tag on named Nick, and he has his hair slicked back and wears glasses. He acts and behaves in a manner that practically screams, I come home from my shift and play League of Legends and then fap and go to sleep, and that is my life. And so I took an order from him, and I'm like, I guess I couldn't really tell that whether or not it was Sargon, based on his voice. I was not able to. And so I took my order from him, and I was wearing the shirt, and I was just sort of like trying to, like, just looking at him and being like, yeah, I'd like cinnamon dolce latte with some water, and just like making this really awkward eye contact, and he's like looking up at me like, what? And then, you know, he rings up the order, and I'm like, okay, I guess it must not be him. And I drink my latte, and I sit in an area where my shirt is facing the counter, and he never picks up on it. And so I go home, and I get on TeamSpeak that night. Zargan's in the TeamSpeak, and I go over to his channel and I say, why the fuck weren't you at work today? And he's like, what? I was like, or no, he said, what do you mean I was? And I was like, is your name Nick? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, so tell me how you didn't notice the ginger walk up to your counter and order from you wearing the bright fucking blue t-shirt with the fucking new conglomerate insignia across the front. And he's like, what? And everyone, he's like, I don't notice shirts that well. It's not that. And everyone in the TeamSpeak at this point realizes what I'm talking about and is laughing their collective asses off. And he's like, wait a minute. When did you go there? And I was like, 8:30. And he was like, oh, there are two Nicks there. I didn't start until 12:30. That must have been the other one. I was like, okay. Okay. So then he tells me the next time he works there. And I go in and make sure that he is going to be there.
That this is other Nick.
Yeah, I go in to find the other Nick, and I go there, and he's like like new. He's trying to figure out the difference between a ham and Swiss and a ham and cheddar, and taking orders and stuff. And I walk up to there. I'm not wearing the t-shirt this time because I told him, okay, you're not getting it. I'm going to go in there and order like anyone else, and you get the red hair and the voice, and that's all you get. And he was like, okay. And I walked up there, and I tried to order something that would just set off a million red flags. And I walked up to the counter, and I was like, I would like a cake pop. And he was like, okay, what kind? And I was like, the pink one. And this is where it got awkward because he thought I said pick one. So he's like, are you sure? I've never actually tried them before. And then he looks up at me and notices the massive shit-eating grin that I have on my face at this point. And he just stops and goes, I know you.
I know you. You got the money?
I know you from somewhere.
So anyway, then he gets me the salted caramel cake pop because I didn't feel like correcting him.
Because you like salt. Because you like salt.
The post was salty.
You bullshit me about the sodium.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Okay, and yeah, there was a line, so that's basically as far as it went. So yeah, that was my first PlanetSide meetup, and then GG altogether. Pretty good encounter.
Good job.
Yep, that is my story.
I still don't have a story. You go ahead, hater. I need to think
Alright.
of something.
User in your channel timed
Mine's
out.
pretty short. Unless my buddy here can come up with a good story from BMT. Mendoza, that's up to you. But so over the weekends here, we have like late night accountability to make sure everyone's back because the Air Force obviously loves us.
Mm.
But my hallway is at the ass end of the dormitory, so we get accounted for last, and we have to wait the longest. So we're outside waiting in our hallway, and one guy comes out in the hallway with one of those toy lightsabers, and it's Darth Maul's lightsaber, so it's the double red one, you know. And he just comes out and stands in the hallway. Everyone else is just kind of standing out there chilling. And he just stands there and he starts doing like the Star Wars kid shit, and then someone starts blasting Star Wars music from their room. And this guy's just going through our entire hallway, like doing these really shitty kickflips and all that with this Darth Maul lightsaber. And then so he's doing that for about a minute, playing the Star Wars intro theme. And it was only a NCO, so it wasn't an officer, which would have made it much more hilarious. But they come around the corner and they're like, golf, prepare yourselves.
What?
And he doesn't hear because he's at the end of the hallway and the music's blasting. And so our sergeant comes around the corner, and the sergeant was a female, so because she's a female on a male floor, she has to yell female on the floor. So she yells that, everyone echoes it, and then he finally realizes it, and he turns around and he just like stops, and he's holding his lightsaber at like half at attention. And then somebody cuts the Star Wars music in that really awkward like record skip way, you know?
Oh god.
So yeah, funny awkward moment.
Oh my god.
Did she like walk in there and see him holding a lightsaber and
Say that again?
did she like walk in there and see the guy holding the lightsaber? I just imagine like, what the fuck are you doing?
For the most part. Yeah. That's how it went down.
Oh god. That gave me an idea for my story. I was up in Canada before I moved down to the States. We had Star Wars Day every year, and it was a big thing among the teachers to outdo each other. And we had this one. He was a black belt in karate, and he was way into Star Wars. One of those like super zen kind of teachers, always calm, but like he could kick the shit out of you if he ever wanted to.
Mm.
And then we had like this shorter white guy, really stockily built, and then the football coach, who was a one-eyed black quarterback with glasses.
Nice.
And then so they had to outdo each other, and so black guy gets dressed up as Yoda, and then the other one gets dressed up as, I think it was Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then in our atrium there's this big stage here, and then someone was playing the Star Wars music on the piano, and then all of a sudden they whip out these lightsabers, and in the middle of lunch hour have an impromptu battle on all the tables.
Oh my god. That is cool. That
Yeah.
is so cool.
It was fucking hilarious. And then the black football coach, my favorite, he ended up losing because he tripped on his own cape and fell down. I'm just like,
Capes,
oh no.
are they worth it for being evil?
If you've ever watched The Incredibles, no capes.
Exactly.
We find out tonight on tonight's episode of Under the Radar.
Capes.
Capes.
But from lightsabers to server smashes to being a better peasant, we covered a lot tonight.
Yeah.
That
Hell
we did.
yes. Well, there was a lot to talk about. I mean, it has been 3 months.
It has. And there will be more next week. I know I teased the Valkyrie from last time, which I did not finish because family stuff. But we will talk about that next week, I believe.
It's also like, it's not really worth talking. Like if you want to know what the Valkyrie is like right now, watch the Pinata video. There have been a couple of resistance buffs, but it's I guess now instead of a 2 mag rotary kill, it's a 2.5 mag rotary kill. Whoa. I mean, it's still shit. That's our coverage. It's still a Pinata.
Whoop-de fucking do.
Yeah.
But okay. In all seriousness, it's so cool to sit in that rumble seat and just watch the scenery pass by.
It is. Oh my god, it's
Yeah.
so cinematic.
Put that on
Anyway.
the galaxies. Please.
That is it. That is it for this week.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Hope to see you next week.
And remember,
Keep it under the radar.
Oh no, he didn't.
oh yes, he did.
Did he just bring that back? I think he did.
That just happened. Girl.
Bringing sexy back.
I'm bringing sexy back. Ow! All y'all don't know how to act.
My milkshakes bring all the words to the yard. Damn right, they're better than yours. Damn right. They're better than yours. I can teach you, but you have to learn the reverse maneuver too.
We don't take no peasants up in this shit.
Hell no. Hey,
Boom.
you're not even
Boom.
allowed to talk up to Emerald because everyone knows it's just fucking Matherson. It's not even your server.
Okay. If that's the card we're gonna play, all
Guess
right.
who lost the ServerSmash, has Cry flying in its skies, and didn't get represented by Prey? Like, oh, that other server that I can't remember the name of, like everybody else.
Hey, is it my problem that Prey wasn't there? No, it's not. Okay. And I'm in the real goddamn Air Force, and I still managed to show up. So I don't know what their fucking excuse is. Okay.
At least I am in a server that hasn't had its name changed since launch.
You know what? No one cares.
Guys,
No one cares.
in
If
the
by
end,
no one cares, do you mean the entire population of Waterson? Because that's a synonym to that
Royds,
word.
do you hear the wind? I hear the wind blowing. Every time Ginger's mic is pressed down, I hear wind.
Royds, do you smell something? It smells kind of like salt.
You would know.
quiet. I see the sea in the distance and the salty air. QRY wins again.
Shit. Good job, Ginger.